Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another rebuild. And today we are going to be rebuilding FC Bournemouth. Now obviously this is a side which are going through a bit of a difficult time at the moment after getting promoted to the Premier League, and obviously have recently sacked their manager after what was a 9-0 defeat to Liverpool. Now personally I don't think it was the defeat that necessarily got him sacked. I think it was all the comments he made afterwards. It's probably a mixture, to be honest. But today, we're going to be rebuilding Bournemouth over 5 seasons, starting from when they recently got promoted and going into the first Premier League season. If you guys do enjoy the rebuilds, please do leave this video a like. Let's hit 15 likes on this video to get another rebuild this week as well. And please do subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. But let's get into the first season and see what the squad's looking like. So, thanks to a database from Sort It Out SI, we are actually able to start off pretty much at the end of last season when they did get promoted. Obviously finishing second in the Championship. Now, this is going to be interesting because we're going to see how hard it actually is to build a squad that is usable in the Premier League. Obviously, there's been a lot of questions around their recruitment actually in real life, and I know they're not going to have a big budget. And to be honest, if we take a little look at the team, they are in need of some players. We're going to try this tactic out. It is quite a bold tactic to use with Bournemouth. Obviously, this is going to be the King of Naples, DHFM. So all credit goes to him for making the tactic, or she, not sure. But pretty much, this is a very bold tactic, I will say. But I want to test this tactic out. And to be honest, we've got the players to do it in terms of players are comfortable in the positions. We'll see what we're going to do in the first season. The goal of this first season is purely to survive. Obviously, we've seen what they're doing in real life at the moment. It's not easy to survive in the first season. It's really not. So let's have a little look then. And just, I mean, the players are actually, they're okay. But obviously, Solanke's quite a good player. Brooks is decent. Lerma's a player I really want to keep. Stacey's very good. Neto's a decent goalkeeper. There are some really good players in this team. Obviously, Chris Mepham as well. Down here is actually quite a good centre-back who I do sign sometimes as well. So they have got good players, to be honest. But it's obviously just, there are a lot better teams in the Premier League, and it is always difficult to survive in the Prem in the first season. And with a budget of 8 million, it is going to make it rather tricky. I'm not entirely sure who to sign, because obviously with 8 million, you're not going to write home about anyone that you sign, to be honest with you. You're not going to sign any exact world beaters, are you? But, you know, we did do okay. We managed to bring in one player in the first transfer window, and that is going to be Luka Ivancek. Ivancek, I hope that's how you say that, from Dynamo Kiev. First 5.75 million, 6.2 million after the add-ons. And this guy's actually really good. If you look at his attributes here, he's only 23, 4-star ability, 4-star potential, absolutely sensational. Will instantly get into the first team without a doubt. Literally incredible. His finishing isn't the best for a winger, but to be honest, he's reasonably quick, great balance, good determination. Everything else about him is quite good as well. Fairly determined trait as well. And do you know what? For that cost, for that price tag, you're not going to get much better. And you've also got to take into account that not many players wanted to join us. That's the other thing, because obviously there is a big risk of us going down. So in this guy's contract, there is also the clause of if we do go down, he's got a very low release clause. We'd still make money on him, but he will be going if we go down most likely. So we really do want to avoid going down because, you know, we'd lose a lot of players. And this is going to be the team. Obviously, it looks very, very similar to what you did see. But we actually filtered it by best. And this time, they actually put Pearson in there. So we've got Neto, Stacey, Kelly, Sensi, Senesi, I think so you say it, Smith, Pearson, Cook, Brooks, Christie, Ivancek, and also Solanke as the starting 11. And to be honest, I'm quite confident in that 11. So let's get into the first season and hopefully, and there's a big hopefully on that, stay in the Premier League. So, we actually done a lot better than what I thought. We managed to finish 11th in the Premier League. And again, that could be a mixture of the tactic we're using. So, shout out to the person that made that. And also, it is the squad that we did have, obviously. That signing got the most assists. Not a lot. I'm not going to sit here and say he had a dominating season. None of us did by the looks of it. Solanke actually the top goal scorer with 22 goals. Again, the FA Cup, if you look at this here, because I nearly missed that, we actually got all the way to the final of the FA Cup as well. So, bit of a poor display in the Carabao Cup. But the FA Cup, we went all the way to the final. And obviously, we did match up against Man City, who we're not capable of taking on just yet. But still, I'd say that's a very successful season. Obviously, a top half or top, mid-table finish in the first season. Something which I think Bournemouth fans would snap up in an instant if you offer that to them in real life right now. Going into terms of squad stats then, so we've got 22 goals for Solanke, Ryan Christie coming in with 15, 11 for Jamal Lowe, Van Sweat coming in with 7 goals. So it's not a bad season. 9 assists and 7 goals for him. Assists, obviously, we've got 9 from him. We've got 6 from Christie, 5 for Solanke, 7 for Anthony. Few 5s coming in there from Brooks. What else have we got? We got any big ones? Not really. So again, it's not the best season in terms of statistics, in terms of player stats, but it's a season which did get us good results. So I mean, finishing 11th, getting to a cup final in one season, I think is very good. And I'm just hoping, really hoping, that we are able to carry on moving forward with this team, bringing in new players, and hopefully with that finish in the Premier League, we can slowly attract not obviously the top caliber players, but players that are of a little bit better standard than what we could attract. Because I'll be honest, in that first transfer window, although we only had 8 million, we weren't able to sign anyone purely based on the fact they didn't want to join. And going into that, we've got £76 million to spend going into the second transfer window, and there's going to be a lot of business. So I'm going to go and have a think, see what players are available on the market, and I'll come back to you once we've got the signings done, for season 2 of the transfers. Before we do talk about the transfers though, guys, if you are enjoying this rebuild so far, you enjoy the rebuilds on this channel, please leave a like on the video right now. Thank you. I appreciate that. Honestly, it helps a lot. Just a simple like. I know that little bit is cringe, but it helps out a lot. Just a simple like on the video. It does help the video get found in the algorithm, and it really does benefit the channel. But let's get into the second season of the transfers and see who we've picked up. So, season 2 of the transfers has come in, and do you know what? We've actually done a lot of business. Unfortunately, we couldn't keep Lerma purely based off contract, so we had to sell him to Shakhtar for 12.7 million, and also Stanislas to Portland for 1.3 million. We did, however, bring in some absolutely incredible players as replacements, and also on top of replacements, just a little bit of depth. So we brought in Mads Bech Sorensen from Brentford for 15 million, and Ndombele from Tottenham. I know he's had a little bit of a iffy season in the Premier League, or not season, career in the Premier League, but I'm trying to give him a chance, get him back to the top of his game, and hopefully he can thrive at this club for 6.7 million. And also Mohamed Kudus, obviously a very, very upcoming player from Ajax for 10 million pounds. And the last player is purely for backup at the moment, but potentially, obviously we've got to remember, Solanke isn't old, he isn't young, he's sort of middle age. Nketiah is a few years older and is a decent player. So, and for 13 million, why not pick him up at the end of the day? So this is going to be the first player. This is pretty much going to be the player to replace Lerma alongside of the other midfielders we have signed, who probably can play his role as well. Now, don't get me wrong, he's probably not the best midfielder you've seen, but he is very well rounded when it comes to obviously a bit of tackling. He's also got the good jumping on him. He's very tall as well. That's the main reason why I got him, because he's not the quickest player. He's more of a Holden sort of midfielder. He's tall, he's strong. Obviously, if you want it, he's got the long throws. And I just thought, even if he doesn't guarantee a first spot, sort of position, he will pretty much get into that midfield defensive position, or he can play at centre-back as well. Now, it's very strange on this, because when I signed him, he actually was a midfield player, which is very interesting. But it doesn't really matter, because I needed a centre-back anyway. But when I signed him, I go to my scout report, I go to midfield players. This guy come up as a defensive midfielder, and he can play there, but he's actually a lot more comfortable playing in this defensive centre-back role. So, to be honest, it's probably a centre-back we've signed, so we'll take that, especially with his height and his strength. So, I'm not expecting a centre-back signing. We then go over to Ndombele, who will definitely be a midfield player, and this guy is a very, very good player in my opinion. In this game, I really enjoy using him. His attributes are really well-rounded. Not the tallest midfield player, but again, good balance, good strength, good technique, good passing, and he can play so many roles in midfield, so he's a very useful player to have. And he's not too old either. He's still got time to turn that career around. Obviously, he's got the 4-star ability when it comes to the potential-wise as well. So, to be honest, if we can get him playing again, we could actually have picked ourselves up a real bargain. Moving on to the next player, obviously, we all know this guy. previously, still, I would say, one of the best prospects in football when it comes to this game. Anyone that's played this game will know who this guy is. Obviously, a very, very good player again. Can play in a variety of roles, more of an attacker midfielder, but again, can play it deeper as well if you want him to play in a deeper role. Good dribbling, good first touch, good technique, and still so young, 22 years of age. Again, 4-star potential, so we've got two players that can really grow into their own in that midfield role, and we could honestly have a very good midfield coming up here. And the last player, again, is a player, again, who has got 4-star potential, and a player who we probably all know if you like English football. That is going to be Eddie Nketiah, a player who I think possibly could be a smudge overrated in real life, but in this game, a very, very good shout, very quick as well, decent finishing, and he's only 24, so he's a few years younger than Solanke, so that instantly gives us a replacement as Solanke gets older if he starts to pick up more injuries, or for some reason if we can't keep Solanke. And going into the next season, this is going to be the lineup. We're going to have Neto, Stacey, Kelly, Sensei, Zamura, who's a quality left back, by the way, Cook and Dombele getting into the midfield right off the rip, Avansovic, Christie, Anthony, and Solanke going in. Obviously, the bench being strengthened now. So you've got Kudus on the bench. Obviously, we've got Sorensen, we've got Nketiah. So a lot more confident with the players that we can bring on during the game. But let's get into the second season and see how we do. And hopefully, if we can, improve on 11th place. And that is what we've done. I didn't expect to actually finish this well in the Premier League. Very, very crazy to me, to be honest. Again, getting to a cup final and losing again, this time in the Carabao Cup against Tottenham. Tottenham actually winning a trophy. But we managed to finish 5th place in the second season, which is something I was not expecting. I was expecting or hoping to pretty much have 2 seasons at least to sort of, you know, build a team before we play any sort of European football. But we managed to actually get Europa League, finishing above Chelsea as well. Missing out on Champions League by a few points, which is fair enough. Obviously, the top 4 teams there are of real quality. Liverpool taking the title home. But finishing 5th place is a massive accomplishment, and it does make me wonder what is going to happen with the transfer budget. Are we going to get more now, or is it going to be a little bit quieter? Because obviously we did get a lot of money last season. But in terms of player stats for this season, we've got Solanke coming in with 23 goals, 11 goals for Avansovic, Christie coming in with 10 coming in for Brooks, Kudus coming in with 9 as well, 5 from Anthony, Nketiah with 5 as well. Assists, we've got 10 coming in from Avansovic, Christie coming in with 7, 10 for David Brooks, Kudus coming in with 13. Kudus actually having a very, very good season. Obviously, when you probably saw me show you what the best 11 was, based off what the game thinks, you probably wondered why Kudus isn't in there. But he actually did play 36 games, so he did get a lot of game time, which is really good to see. So overall, the stats are slowly improving. Obviously, still, we haven't got that sort of 40-season striker. I don't know if that's a mixture of the tactic. Maybe it's not as attacking as some of the tactics I usually use, or possibly because we haven't got the quality just yet. But we're getting the results clearly by the way we're finishing in the Premier League. Obviously, we're not expecting to win the Premier League entirely in this rebuild, because I don't even know if it's realistic in 5 seasons, depending on the players that we bring in. But I mean, to be honest, I will happily take a 5th place and get into a cup final in the second season. We've got European football, and going into what is going to be the 3rd transfer window, we've got £65 million. So again, it's quite a big transfer window. We can definitely strengthen the team going forward. Obviously, we've got to sort out contracts and stuff like that first. So I'm going to sort out all of the contracts, and I'll come back to you with the 3rd season of transfers. Before we do get into the transfers though, I wanted to show you this because it's quite unique. Something which hasn't happened in the rebuild just yet. After only a couple years here, they're actually building a new stadium to pretty much accommodate to a bigger crowd. So we're clearly playing good football. We're clearly doing something right. But this is what you come for. The 3rd season of transfers. Kiefer Moore going to Saint Etienne for £220,000. We actually bring in a couple of centre-backs because I feel like we're a little bit vulnerable at the back, and we have got a couple of older defenders. I want to replace them with upcoming defenders that are going to be with us for the entire save. So we bring in Dan Axel Zagadou, previously of Dortmund, for 9.5 million from West Bromwich Albion. We bring in a goalkeeper, Luis Jr. from Sporting for £21.5 million. And we bring in Omar Saleh from Salzburg for £15.5 million. Now, these players are all very, very young age. Not very young age, but not, you know, probably, I would say they've got at least sort of 10 years in him. We'll have a look because I have forgot some of the ages. But this guy, for example, not 10 years, but 25 again is actually quite young in football, in my opinion anyway. He's definitely got at least sort of 7-8 years in him before you really see a decline. And he's still got room for growing. And he is one hell of a centre-back. 6'5". Again, decent pace, not the best at accelerating. But that's not really an issue because obviously we can partner him next to a quicker one who has got better acceleration. Fantastic strength, fantastic jumping, great tackling, great composure. And this guy's played in some great leagues. And for that cost, I mean, you're not really going to find much of a better player on the market. You've still got to take into account that we can't go out and sign the likes of like your Gvardiols, your Timbers, all of this because a lot of these players do want Champions League football, and obviously also the cost as well. We can't go out and sign Gvardiol. We haven't got the funds to do it. We're not all like Chelsea, you know, where we can spend 400 mil a season. But anyway, that little dig aside, this is the best on the market we could get, and who we've got beside him in Soleil, or Soleil, however you say that, is actually a really good partnership. This is going to be the goalkeeper, though, and I thought this is one hell of a signing, to be honest. Worth pretty much double what we paid for him. He's going to be the best goalkeeper right off the rip. Only 23, so this guy has got 10, 11, if not 12 years in him at the club before you even consider replacing him, because that will be his sort of, you know, his final sort of going out years. His attributes are fantastic. 6'4", a player who I've not ever signed on this game before as well. So do let me know in the comments if this guy's any good. If you guys have signed him, because when I saw him for that price, I was like, I've got to pick him up. He looks very good. He's capped at under 23 level as well for the Brazilian team. And I was just like, we need a goalkeeper. Obviously, Neto's quite old. The backup goalkeeper isn't really good enough to replace Neto. Let's get this guy in. And then the last guy, I'm a big fan of this guy as well. Again, this guy has got a little bit better acceleration, so he can definitely be partnered alongside of obviously the other player who we did bring in, which is going to be Zagadou. Great jumping on him, great marking, decent tackling, good tool as well. Very tall as well. Good tool. What type of sentence is that? Very tall as well. And for me, this is a perfect partnership alongside of Zagadou. Now, there is going to be competition for that centre-back spot because we do actually have a couple of good centre-backs already. But the whole point of bringing these players in is that it does help us with the depth. They're both young players. So, I mean, you know, when the players basically that are starting now are a little bit older. So at the end of the day, these players will eventually definitely become the starting duo. So I wanted to bring in people who are similar age because then they're going to be playing at the club for a similar amount of time. And then obviously, if I was to carry on the save, we can replace them when needed. But this partnership, I'm extremely happy with. It didn't cost us a lot, to be honest. If we go back and have a look, we actually spent 45 million to bring in a centre-back partnership and a goalkeeper. So, I mean, very, very good in my opinion. If you're looking purely off the centre-back partnership, it's, what is that? Probably like, why am I finding that difficult? Like 25 million, around that sort of figure. So it's not 26 million. So it's not actually a lot of money at all. 26 million you can easily spend on one. We've got two for that. And this is going to be the team going into the third season. And as you can see, one of the centre-backs does start, but at the moment, Kelly is still better. So Kelly's going to be in the team. We're going to switch up the formation a little bit, just because I feel like we were a little bit exploited with that other system. No disrespect to the tactic. It is a great tactic, but just not for Bournemouth. We're going to have Neto, Stacey, Soleil, Kelly, Zamora, Cook, and Dombele, Kudus, Brooks, Avansoech, and also Solanke starting. Obviously, the bench looks a lot stronger now as well because we have brought in a lot more players. But let's get into the third season and see how we do. Each season, I'm getting a lot more confident with how this team is looking. So hopefully, we can improve. And it's going to be interesting to see how we do in European football. So, the third season, we didn't actually improve in the Premier League. We still got European football, which is always good. But this is the main thing here. We actually managed to win the Carabao Cup against Manchester United. Got to the finals of the FA Cup. Unfortunately, did lose to Man City. We got out the groups in Europa League, but we got quite a tough quarter-final against Chelsea. So unfortunately, we didn't progress as far as what I would have liked to see in that tournament. But I'm not disappointed at all in the lads because, you know, winning the cup, getting top 6 as well. I mean, you can't really complain. Also, the goals have gone up a lot. So I've got to credit the tactic purely on that because obviously they don't go up for no reason. We're going to have 43 goals coming in from Solanke. We've got 17 coming in for Azanovic. We've got Ndombele contributing with one hell of a season. 15 goals coming out from him. 8 goals for Brooks, 7 for Nketiah. Assists, we've got 13 for Ivancevic, 14 for Ndombele, 15 for Brooks, 5 for Nketiah, and 14 for Kudus. So that midfield is really, really working well now. I knew the players would click eventually. It was just a matter of time. And we're now seeing fantastic attributes, fantastic stats coming out of Solanke as well. 43 goals in 54 games is very good. And he's still only 27, so we've got a few years in him. He's arguably not even in his prime yet. He's probably got, what, another 5-6 years before you even consider seeing any sort of decline in him if he carries on at this level. And then when he does, we have got Nketiah, who, to be honest, he might not be scoring loads and loads of goals, but he is playing. His frequency, he's getting used as a sub, isn't he? If we're being honest, he's getting used as a sub. So these attributes, these stats, sorry, I keep saying attributes, these stats aren't exactly fair on him, because when you get brought on as a sub, you can't really impact the game. We don't know what minute he's coming on. He could be coming on in the 80th minute, and if he is, it's very difficult to, you know, credit him for what he's doing, because you're not going to do a lot inside of 10 minutes, are you? But going into the next season, we've still got quite a good budget. We've got £56 million to take into the fourth transfer window. And I'm going to look at the team now, and we're going to have a little look at where we can improve. It's quite difficult now, because I'm in a situation where I don't want to replace people purely just because they're a bigger name. So I don't want to bring someone in who, you know, for the sake of it. If we've got players that are playing well, that are contributing, I'm not going to replace them, because at the end of the day, we're actually playing really good football based off the results. So we're going to have a little look, see if anyone's not been playing up to their, you know, full potential, see if anyone leaves, because a big thing with this save that I'm finding out is there are a lot of players where once it comes to, you know, that last year of the contract, you want to extend it, they're not happy at the club. Obviously, some players, especially that defensive back line, a lot of the original players have been replaced. And midfield mainly. So we'll see what happens. We'll go into the fourth transfer window, and hopefully we can strengthen the team even more. We have just had one hell of a transfer window. We actually have spent a lot of money, I'm going to be honest. There are a few players here for some reason that aren't showing up that we did sell, which is very interesting, which explains a couple of these signings which we did make. So we brought in, first off, Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Manchester United. Again, a player who does need a shot of redemption, but for £28 million, I'm willing to take a risk on him, and I'm sure he can get into that first team. We then go over to Manchester City and sign their new man, Julian Alvarez, for £52 million, which, again, I don't think is too much of a bad price, because he is a very hot prospect in this game. The next page of signings, we actually get a couple of bargains. Billy Gilmore was only £3 million because his contract was due to expire. I wanted to get him now, so I pretty much paid him off. £3 million. And Chimiskas from Liverpool for free. Again, a very good backup left back, and someone who I think, when he's free, you can't really complain. Going into the actual attributes of these players then. Aaron Wan-Bissaka matched on attributes pretty much with Jack Stacey, so it is going to be a very good battle for that right back position. And this guy's just very, very good, to be honest. He's more of a less sort of athletic right back, I would say, is a good way of wording it. He's not really going to bomb up the pitch loads. His tackling is literally 20. It's the best you can get. Absolutely flawless. The best tackler you can get. Well, obviously there's probably other people with 20 tackling, but 20 is the best attribute you can have. So you can't question that side of his game. He's reasonably quick as well. Good stamina, good bravery, good teamwork. To be honest, attribute-wise, he is very, very good. He's only 27 as well, so you got sort of, you know, 5-6 years in him as well. And I thought, for that price, considering he's worth double it, why not pay it and get him in? Because that way we've got two quality right backs, and obviously now we're playing European football. There's so many injuries. I can't stress that enough. There's so many injuries to the point where you do need to have two really good players in almost every position to cover yourself. Going over to a player which I'm really excited to use, a player that is worth double what we paid for him, only 25 years of age, perfectionist personality, a lot of potential in him. He can play literally in 4 positions if you wanted him to. For us, he's going to be playing on the right, hopefully, if not up front. Obviously, that purely depends on where our assistant puts him, because we are obviously simulating these seasons. In terms of attributes, very, very well balanced. Good finishing for a winger come striker, good amount of flair, decent pace. And again, he can really work into this. He can build himself up. He's still young. He's got the right personality for it, and hopefully we can see him really thrive in this Bournemouth team. I was a bit surprised that he wanted to move, because when I saw him available, he was transfer listed by request, by the way, so I imagine he just wasn't getting played at Manchester City. But I didn't think he would want to come to a club like ours. I think he'd want Champions League, but luckily we managed to get him, and I am not complaining one bit. We then go over to Tsimikas, who again is a very, very good fullback, a £44 million worth fullback, by the way. 29 years old, so he is an older player, but he's purely for backup. We've already got a couple of good fullbacks there, but I want to strengthen it, because at the end of the day, I had a point last season where I looked at a team that was getting put out, and we were forced to play a centre back there because of injuries, and bans. So I mean, in my opinion, my one piece of advice to anyone on Football Manager is always look at the free agents, because even if it's not a player that you'd actively go and pick up usually, if he's a decent player that's not on exactly a lot of money, it's not on a lot of money at all, really, just sign him, because even if he doesn't perform, you can sell him. So like, if he doesn't play, he doesn't perform, he isn't happy, I can probably sell him next season for not this amount, but probably like 16, 17 million. So you're going to make money anyway. So it's definitely worth picking up these free agents and working with them. And then this guy I am really excited to use, because he's one of my favourite midfielders. I love when he was playing a lot consistently in the Premier League. I love watching him, and he's a very, very good player. 24 years old again, resolute personality, fantastic attributes. Can't get my words out today. 5'7", great technique, great passing, great vision, great composure, great first touch. Again, can play in several positions in the midfield, and hopefully he can break his way into the first team. We've now got a midfield which is got so much potential. It's just about fulfilling that potential, and hopefully they do. And this is going to be what the team looks like going into what is going to be the 4th season. And that is going to be Luis Jr., Wan-Bissaka gets right into the team, Kelly and Soleil, Tsimikas actually gets into the first team, and Ndombele, Cook, Billy Gilmore, Alvarez, Ivansovic, and also Solanke. So again, a very, very good team. The bench now is looking incredibly strong. We're definitely doing a good job of getting rid of some of the sort of, I hate to use this term because it's disrespectful, but dead end sort of, players that have probably had their time, just sort of seeing it out, to bringing in hot prospect players like your Alvarez's, like your Gilmores, even like your Ndombele's, who are having really good seasons. And we're going to take this team into the 4th season and hopefully improve on where we've done, and, possibly even win another trophy. Before we do get into the 4th season though, guys, if you are enjoying this rebuild so far, you've liked the signings I brought in, please do leave a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a lot when I see you guys support the video. There is going to be another tactics video and another rebuild video coming out this week, but if we can, let's get some likes smashed on this video, but let's get into the 4th season and see how we do. That is exactly what we done, actually. We managed to improve, and we managed to win the Europa League, which is something I did not think I would be saying with Bournemouth inside of 4 seasons, and also getting a 2nd place finish in the Premier League. Absolutely mind blown. I did not think the recruitment has been bang on. I don't want to credit myself too much, but the recruitment has been bang on. It really has. We also got to a cup final against Tottenham again, which we do lose, but I'm not annoyed at all, because we won the Europa League, which again, mind blowing stuff, and also a 2nd place finish. Granted, the points between 1st and 2nd is a lot, but at the end of the day, we're never going to compete with Man City for several years, so I'm not annoyed in the slightest with that. In terms of attributes, Dominic Solanke is turned into an absolute machine. 47 goals, 16 goals coming in from Ivansovic, 11 goals, 14 goals coming in from Alvarez, Gilmore coming in with 13, 10 for Zagadou, 9 for Brooks, 8 for Ndombele. In terms of assists, we've got 11 coming in for Ivansovic, 11 coming in for Alvarez, 17 coming in for Billy Gilmore, 12 coming in for Ndombele, 8 coming in for Kudus, and 14 coming in from Tsimikas. And who is this down here? Wan-Bissaka coming in for 12 as well. So both of our new fullbacks contributing with a lot of assists. That's 26 assists between the both of them. So a very, very good season, and I'm very happy with how this team is forming now. I feel like the team is a lot more balanced. We've got a lot more quality. We've also sort of future-proofed ourselves as well. So we've got a team now that are winning trophies, which is massive. Considering, if you go back to the start of this video, the team we had was not doing anything at the end of the day. And we've transformed this team into winners. We really have. And going into the last season, we've got a budget of 61 and a half, probably, after I tweak it a little bit. Because obviously I imagine there will be players that do want to leave. I know purely based off the fact that some players didn't want new contracts. going into the 5th season of transfers, I'm just hoping to add a bit of depth to the team. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to replace anyone in the starting 11, because obviously the players that we've got now are really, really good. But let's get into this last transfer window and see what we can do. So this is going to be the 5th transfer window then. And this Lloyd Kelly is actually a very good player, but he's a player which I didn't really pay. I should have paid closer attention on his contract situation. He did reject one, but I sort of let it run, and I was going to offer him one, but I completely slipped. It slipped my mind. I'm going to be honest. But we managed to get 35 million for him from Manchester United. So again, it's not a bad bit of business, and I feel like we did replace him very well. Let's put it that way. The first player we bring in is going to be Maitland-Niles from Arsenal for 18.5 million. You'll see, and I'm going to explain in depth why I signed him. We also bring in Gravenberch. That is right, Gravenberch, obviously the player that has just gone to Bayern from Atletico Madrid for 27.5 million. I imagine that Bayern move didn't work out for him inside of this save. So again, similar to Ndombele, it's going to be up to us to sort of give him a bit of life again, get him playing again, and I'm fine doing that. That's what you have to do when you're at a club of this size, like Bournemouth, or like an Everton. Like Everton tried to do with Dele Alli. I think that's more Dele Alli's fault, to be honest, in real life. You just got a poor attitude, but I personally credit myself in this game for that. I feel like one of my strongest things is taking a player that isn't playing the best and really giving him a second chance. So that is why we picked up Gravenberch. Then the last player we bring in is going to be Samuel Lino from AC Milan. It's a big signing for £49 million after the add-ons. But let's break down these players and just have a little talk. So the first player we bring in is purely going to be for depth. Now, Jack Stacey is actually going to be leaving, or not leaving, he's going to be going into a coaching role at the end of this coming season. So that is why we needed another right back. And the thing that you're going to get with him, he probably will start over Aaron Wan-Bissaka now, because he's a very, very good right back. He is 28, but the reason why I signed him more than just the fact to overtake Wan-Bissaka, because that wasn't the intention, is because if you look at where he can play right back, he can play left back, he can play areas of the midfield, he can play up the right back, he can play like an aggressive right back, he can play defensive right back, he can do a little bit of everything. And in my opinion, having players like this are crucial. He reminds me in a very different type of player, but if you take the picture of or an image of like James Milner for Liverpool, he's probably played every position on the pitch, in reason. And you need, in my opinion, I always like to have a player in Football Manager that can do that, because then, you can sign one player and you don't, for example, like if you first start a save, you've got limited funds, instead of having to sign a left back and right back as backup, you could sign one player who's better that can do both. And then obviously you are taking the risk that obviously both of your fullbacks don't get injured. But in my opinion, it is very useful having a player like this, because it just adds a lot of depth to the team, and he can cover you for several positions. Going over to Gravenberch, obviously a player that is going to be down to us to give him a second chance. A very, very good player in real life, and a player who I'm really hoping we can get playing again, because he has got the potential there. Great agility, great balance, great flair as well. Very tall actually for a midfield player. Decent technique on him, good passing, and hopefully we can partner him alongside Ndombele and Gilmour. Possibly for the first season, he won't get into the first team, but if he works hard enough, he definitely can get into that team. And then the last player we bring in is going to be Samuel Lino. Now, this guy I brought in because I just wanted to wing him with a little bit of flair, to be honest, a little bit more depth. And this is one of the players that was actually transfer listed, was able to be brought in at short notice. Again, pretty quick, to be honest. Great fitness on him, great work rate, good technique, decent finishing for a winger as well. Quite a tricky player, 26 years old, and a player who I think is going to get into the team quite quickly, and hopefully we can see him thrive in it, because obviously Luka Ivanovic has sort of not necessarily in stats, but his ability is slowly going down, so it's good for him to have competition. That's what I'm going to say. It is good for him to have competition, and I'm hoping going into this last season they can sort of battle that last spot out, battle for that first team position, and we can see both of them have really good stats in the season. But yeah, this is going to be the team, and things have taken a little bit of a twist, actually, because I always do this by the best 11, and then at the end, I'll say, my actual opinion. But This is going to be the best team, and this is what the assistant will play at the end of the day. We're going to have Luis Jr. in goal, Maitland-Niles. We're finally seeing this partnership of Zagadou and Soleil, Tomiskas, Cook, Gilmour and Ndombele, Avansoech, Lino and Alvarez. So very strangely, they're actually going to drop Solanke for Alvarez to go up top. Now, I'm going to pay close attention to this throughout the season, and I can also tweak it. Obviously, when you go on holiday, you can select to use your selected lineup, but I like to let the assistant do it because the whole point of these rebuilds is purely the job that I'm doing is making the signings. I'm almost being, you know, the director. I'm choosing what players the manager has, and then he does the actual games. But let's get into this last season. We'll keep a close eye on it, and hopefully we can get a little bit of success going and carry on what we've done, because so far this has been a very, very good rebuild. So the last season actually went quite well, I'm going to be honest. We got third place in the Premier League, behind Liverpool by quite a bit this time. We won the pre-season Community Shield. We had quite a good display in the Champions League, getting all the way to the semi-finals against Manchester City. A poor display in English Cups, but to be honest, I'm more happy that we've done so well in the Champions League. I really wanted to finish this sort of, you know, video off with a good display in Champions League at least. So I feel that's what we deserve after what we've accomplished. And I would say that's a very good display. Getting out the groups, getting all the way to the semis. Playing a team like Man City, who obviously are Premier League champions, we aren't going to beat. But the lads should be happy with what they've done on this save. They really should. But going into terms of stats then, we're going to have Julian Alvarez coming in with 22 goals. Solanke having a quiet season. He did start 33 games, scoring 16 goals. 13 goals coming in for Lino, 11 for Billy Gilmour, 10 coming in for Soleil from, I assume, set pieces. A load of fives in there. In terms of assists, we've got 10 coming in for Alvarez, 6 for Solanke, 9 for Lino. Billy Gilmour coming in with 19. He is one hell of an assister. 7 coming in for Ndombele. So being honest, I do think the decision, what the assistant done of putting Alvarez up top, was a very poor decision. I don't think it was the right way to go, because Solanke was having a very, very good time in the Premier League. So if I was controlling this, this is going to be the team that I personally would have played. This team, by the way, is really, really good. This is what we've built over 5 seasons. We've got Luis Jr., Maitland-Niles, Soleil, Zagadou, Tomiskas and Ndombele, Gravenberch, Billy Gilmour, Alvarez, Lino and Solanke. On the bench, we've got Travers, Wan-Bissaka, Avansoech, Nketiah, Sensi, Lewis Cook, Dembele, Mepham, Mepham, Kudus, Anthony, Zamora, Brooks, and obviously a few players on the reserves here. The only position which I think we probably should have got a better position, better depth for, would be goalkeeper, because this guy isn't the best in goal. But to be honest, what we've done in 5 seasons is phenomenal. We've taken a team that probably are going to get relegated in the Premier League. Sorry, Bournemouth fans, but that is the harsh reality. I think you done Scott Parker quite dirty, to be honest. I understand partly why, because obviously the little comments don't help, but I don't think you're going to be able to get anyone in that's really going to save the team. I think the recruitment's been poor, and yeah, it's a shame, because, you know, it's not nice to see a team instantly go down after they come up, but at least we've done well on this save. At least we really have transformed this team, and this is going to be what we've accomplished inside of 5 years. So 2022 promotion from the Championship, obviously, as we can see. 2023 runners up in the FA Cup. Load of stuff here going on. Go past the not important stuff. We're going to go to the trophy stuff. 2024 then, we've got Carabao Cup winners. Runners up, sorry, 2025 Carabao Cup winners. Runners up in the FA Cup as well. There, we are going to have loads of stuff going on here. Blah, blah, blah. 2026, we've got Europa League winners, and we have also got the Community Shield winners. So we have won where is that? We've won the Carabao Cup. We have won the Europa League. We have won the Community Shield. And the main thing about this is going to be, it's not necessarily the trophies, to be honest. It's more the fact of how many final appearances we had. The fact that we got into the top, like, sort of Europa League placements within 2 seasons. So the fact that we've stayed up there consistently is the biggest accomplishment out of everything. I was not expecting this to be filled up with Champions League, Europa League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Community Shield, Premier Leagues. It's not going to happen, guys. It's really not going to happen. And what we've done, I am very, very proud with, to be honest. Obviously, you can see there, we actually had a new chairperson take over as well, which is very interesting. But no, really happy with how this rebuild has gone. that is going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this rebuild. If you have, please do leave a like on this video, and please do comment who your favourite signing was. And if you want to support the channel even more, you can subscribe. It's completely free, no cost at all, and turn on notifications. This way, you're never going to miss when I upload, when I do a community post, when I live stream, and much more. And if you guys want to stay even more in touch with me, then you can follow my social medias, which are in the description. But that is going to be it for me today, guys. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.